Alright. What's up, guys and gals? It's time for Kengan Omega, Chapter 309, Wakatsuki versus Omori. Apologies for the latency of the videos. Apologies for basically no content for a week. Found out I have gout. I already had arthritis in the hands. Now I have arthritis in the feet. It sucks. It was painful. And I was able to do sweet fuck all for the last 10 days. But anyways, we are now, on some meds and trying to get, my feet working again. Basically, I was able to walk down the stairs again, finally. So, though this will be a late review, it's still a review, so it is what it is. I like the chapter right out of the gate. I don't really have a whole lot to say on this one, honestly. I probably could have stumbled my way down here to do this on Wednesday, but in all honesty, they fight, and I like it. Now, I know some people are going to complain about certain things, but personally, I just like the fight. And there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. Wakatsuki has obviously evolved his style and something like that. What did he pull off at the end of the chapter? We don't fully know. You know what I mean? Like, we don't fully know. And Omori is obviously proving himself to be one of the best fangs of Matsudo. He's probably stronger than he's definitely stronger than the 6th Fang, the 7th Fang, and probably the 8th Fang as well. He's probably, as was already discussed, and many people have already posted this on Reddit and the like, if we just bar Ario from the conversation, this man is right below Agito. He's definitely the 2nd strongest Fang out of the list of Fangs, right? So, this is, in my opinion, a very interesting fight in this regard, because it's not Agito, but it's still Omori, who has definitely tried to improve himself due to the fact that they had that fight, when he was like, I should have been there, when Shen basically bodied everybody, and he's like, 2 fangs falling? What the hell? And he's like, oh, so he doubled down on his training as well. You know what I mean? So, because Matsuda brings that up right away, and we get to see Yoshioka, who we haven't seen Yoshioka in a very long time. I don't remember seeing him. Has he been in Omega? He's probably been in Omega in the side panel or something like that. But this was the dude who helped Oma during the Kengan Annihilation tournament back in Ashura and stuff. And he's no slouch. I mean, obviously, the peaks and valleys have upgraded. We talked about that last time, where, S tier from Ashura is no longer that. It might be still a lot of the same characters in that tier, but S tier is now a bigger S tier. You know what I mean? It's a better S tier, if that makes sense. So, we won't get into that again, but, because obviously, watch the previous video for that full explanation. But yeah, he's certainly no slouch. So they're talking about Omori, and there's like, has he really grown? He goes, yes, he's devoted significantly more time to training since the attack. And so he's preparing when the time comes and stuff like that. So Omori is no slouch. Once again, I always personally, on my tier list, put Omori at the very least a gatekeeper to B tier. Or like as in the top of B. Sorry, gatekeeper to A tier, as in he's number 1 in B tier. Or he's in A tier. I've always put him in the high regards, even though we didn't get a whole lot of feats. The fact of the matter is that he is the reason that Agito managed to defeat Hatsumi and do as well as he did against Kuroki. If it weren't for Omori, none of that happens. Agito does not evolve. So Omori is responsible for a lot of Agito's own feats, and we have to give credit where credit is due. Now, they start off, it's pretty decent fight so far. It's just more of a, alright, you're playing me, I'm playing you. We'll start with a kick, we'll do some punches, some jabs, and we'll just go into it, right? And this is where, the fact is, Matsudo is like, well, here they go and stuff like that. The strikes that Omori is doing, obviously, are very heavy, because Omori is definitely a power fighter. We already knew this, but he's definitely more power. Not that he's a brainless fighter or just, brawn above brains or anything like that. But he's a powerhouse. He's jacked. He's big, he's bulky, and he has the strength. He doesn't have Superman syndrome, but he does have the strength behind his strikes. So it's definitely considered, it shouldn't be remarkable, of course, because we have to play it up. It shouldn't be remarkable that to Wakatsuki, who has Superman syndrome, this is no big deal. But most normal fighters would basically foam. That would send anybody back. Like, even blocked, they're basically saying that people that aren't Wakatsuki or Julius or those type of people would have budged. And Wakatsuki's not budging. Wakatsuki is the sycamore tree. Wakatsuki is the wild tiger, and he is here. So we get all these strikes and stuff like that. Omori notices something, though, after he lands a decisive kick up against a block by Wakatsuki. He notices something, and he staggers, and he decides to go back on the defensive. Wakatsuki also goes on the offensive, but Omori manages to block these strikes. And it's totally worked. It works extremely well, in my opinion, here, because he's taking these hits. We see the damage. We see the bruises. And it's like tingle, tingle, and stuff like that. I don't know if the sound effects are exactly the best in this translation. But he's there. He's taking them, but his face isn't changed. He's like, yeah, all right. That's the power. The fact that he can block and take Wakatsuki fully trained up strikes, block them, take damage to his arms, and hold his face strong, that says so much. And boom, then he takes a full-on strike. And it's like, okay, no, even blocked and stuff. Yeah, this is Wakatsuki. This is 55 times the normal muscle fiber and stuff like that. He starts setting the pace. But Omori goes straight back on the attack with a high kick and stuff like that. So it's back and forth, as, noted by Yoshi there. And it's very interesting because it's like, okay, these two are clearly powerhouses. Omori knows that Wakatsuki clearly has the power advantage and stuff like that. And it's like, wait, so he's able to, because he says, okay, this is kind of going back and forth. They're both doing damage, but not significant damage, but they're both damaging each other. They're both powerhouses. This makes sense. Then he goes, well, wait a minute now. But Wakatsuki has Superman syndrome. How the hell is he going toe-to-toe? This ain't Julius. This ain't Toa. So wait a minute now. How the hell can a guy who doesn't have that able to go toe-to-toe with him? Like, that's insane. And he just says, well, wait a minute now. This shouldn't make any sense. And Matsudo is the one sort of bringing it up, is that not even Omori can actually take that type of power head on. Even though if you barred the freaks of nature, obviously the Dolph Lundgren, the Julius Reinhold of the series, and if you barred, the crazy Superman syndrome altogether, Omori might be one of the best powerhouses in the series, just on normal human limits. However, as Matsudo brings up, he's strategizing, and he's saying, he's dispersing the force. So he's not exactly using redirection kata, but he's dispersing the force, he's sidestepping. His technique is definitely higher than Wakatsuki's. He's taking every attack from a position where he can't fully connect, and he's using that dodge, sort of like an Ultra Instinct, if you will, right? So he's doing that idea just to make sure that he doesn't take on the full brunt of any full kick or full punch from Wakatsuki. And I'm like, all right, fair enough, Omori has better technique, and I'm totally fine with that. Plus, he goes for Fang-style Wrecking Palm. It's a great shot. This is amazing. And it's like boom, 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 boom. And Omori decides to go on the full-on attack. And I wish they didn't make this comparison to Yumigahara. But Matsudo does bring up is that he has mastered so many levels of different martial arts. Classic Japanese arts, he's mastered 9. Chinese martial arts, he's mastered 5. And he's 7 other modern. So this man alone has mastered, okay, that's 16 plus 5. He's mastered over 21 martial arts, this man has. And unlike Yumigahara, I know why they brought up that line, but people will make this stupid comparison. What he means is he created the Fang style. So his style incorporates different moves and different, so sort of like Kenichi's Mightiest Disciple, right? And stuff like that. He was trying to make an amalgamation of all the best things from each technique. So it's like, okay, if the kicks from this style are the best because of these reasons, he incorporates that into the karate punches, which meanwhile the Brazilian jiu-jitsu and blah, blah, blah. And Omori created the style, the Fang style, to incorporate the best moves and the best techniques and made them all work in a seamless fashion, similar to what they created, how the Nico style was created. Omori did this all on his own by studying many martial arts. Okay, this is a master. This is clearly, he's mastered over 20 martial arts. This man is clearly not to be underestimated. He is a weapon in human form. Boom, he's got the one, so he goes straight from a wrecking palm technique into a 1-inch punch, and I'm like, yeah, the Bruce Lee is here. Let's go. And I know some people, because it's been a few days, some people have said like, oh no, that's the Agito punch. No, it's not. It's not the dragon shot. It's the 1-inch punch, which Ryo did before Agito was even introduced in Ashura. Check your facts, boys and girls. Check your facts. The 1-inch punch is not the dragon shot. And if, after training under Omori and sparring with Omori, if Agito came up with the dragon shot, which is similar to the 1-inch punch, fantastic. But the 1-inch punch is an actual thing Bruce Lee uses. That's why when Himura was introduced and Kanade took his spot and stuff on the ship, he was using literally Bruce Lee style. The 1-inch punch included. So the 1-inch punch is a style of, I forget exactly what it's called, Jeet Kune Do or whatever, but it's Bruce Lee's martial arts style. So obviously Omori is a master of of Bruce Lee's style and incorporated it into this Fang style, which is his style. The dragon shot is similar, but is not exactly the same. So no, the 1-inch punch is not, you know, I saw that on Reddit a couple of times, or Discord, one of them, and I was just like, oh, people who can't read, right? Reading comprehension and manga. Crazy, right? But anyways, like, so I really like this because we've seen this, you know, the fact that it managed to actually, like, the 1-inch punch, though, while still seemingly blocked, it managed to make Wakatsuki, like, leave the ground and put him on the back foot and stuff like that. So a crazy amount of power and stuff like that. So at the end of the chapter here, Wakatsuki, and this is the big thing as we talked about, Wakatsuki is saying, like, not bad. If I had joined the Kengan matches while you were still active, you know, I might have had another loss on my record. But, and then we see Omori took a lot of damage somehow to his shoulder, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute now, to the shoulder that did the 1-inch punch. So it did a lot of damage and he's hurt. And Wakatsuki ends the chapter with, it's good I'm fighting you today, however, because I'm the strongest I have ever been. And it's like, okay, Wakatsuki is beyond anything we've seen before. So wherever you ranked him before, he's gone beyond that. He went even further beyond. It's Super Saiyan time. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the long hair for it, but maybe we'll see some Super Saiyan 3 from him. Just wait. But either way, I really like this because I like the idea that both of them have improved and he's going toe-to-toe with a Fang, but neither one is really dominating. Wakatsuki is just showing the levels that he's gone to in this training that he's been doing. And Omori is obviously a powerhouse all on his own, and we see that. The big thing that I have, and I saw, is that Wakatsuki, as far as I know, was a member of the Kengan matches while Omori was still technically the Fang. So I don't think this is a translation error or a retcon of any description. What I think this is that he just, it's bad wording. He said, if I had joined the Kengan matches while you were still active. A better way to say that, if I had gotten the pedigree to request a fight with the Fang by the time, while you were still the Fang, then I probably would have lost. Basically, by the time Wakatsuki had joined the Kengan matches and gotten a name for himself in the Kengan matches, able to fight Agito and got his shit wrecked, Omori was already no longer the Fang. Wakatsuki is saying, if Agito basically had not been the Fang and he had fought Omori instead, it probably still would have been a loss. And that's a level of respect. Granted, once again, it could be a translation thing, you know? Because I don't believe, but that being said, Wakatsuki might be older, but I don't believe, like, Agito has been the Fang for a very long time, so I think the timeline is pretty close with that regard. But I think Omori was definitely the Fang when Wakatsuki maybe first joined, but maybe when he was literally a rookie. Because I'm pretty sure Agito was the Fang for the most part when Wakatsuki was still fighting his way up to fight the Fang, and Agito was the Fang. Because otherwise, you know, he would have been like, oh, I've got to fight you, but I want to fight the real Fang. You know what I mean? Had Omori just retired 5 seconds after Agito took the point right before the Wakatsuki match, he would have been like, I wanted to fight the real Fang. You know what I mean? But there was no mention of that in Ashura, so I don't think the timelines are actually screwed up. I saw a few comments on that, but I really don't think they are. I think it's just more of a translation thing, if anything else. If it is screwed up, it's screwed up, but it's not that relevant. So, but yeah, hopefully I managed to stretch that out by going page by page and line by line, basically a reaction rather than a read through. Because honestly, as I said, I didn't have a whole lot to say on Wednesday, so I was like, well, I'm not going to hobble down the stairs to do this while I have inflamed feet, sort of idea. And I was just like, they fought. Omori's cool. Wakatsuki's cool. Can't wait for next Wednesday. You know what I mean? That's the long and the short of it sort of idea, right? So I had to basically go through the chapter this time. But hopefully it was worth it. Did I miss anything? Let me know, once again, as always, down in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. We'll see all you guys back here next time for chapter 310 of Kengan Omega. I like the chapter. I hope you guys did too so far. Wakatsuki versus... I didn't think we were going to actually see the fight. The fact that we're seeing the fight is pretty cool to me, so I'm happy about it. I know Kengan fans are impossible to please, but it is what it is, So, anyways, that's it from me. See you back here next time. Bye-bye.